Back in 1998 or 99, I was around 5 or 6 years old and living in a crime and drug-ridden part of the downtown area. Our house had a giant backyard that was full of thick jungle-like trees and bushes that had been taken over by the earth, and also random passerbys. We knew this due to the heroin needles that were around and half of a mattress that had once been on the forest floor that had since grown 15 feet into the air with the trees. There was also a path that people would use as a shortcut to the main road, so there was a lot of traffic with shady people passing through. When you're a kid, this is a nightmare of a backyard, so I was spooked since the time we moved in. I would complain constantly to my mum about someone watching me from outside my window when I would try to sleep. Once or twice, there had been times of him watching me, and he had shone a flashlight into my room, and I saw a flash of his face, which I can still picture. His dark eyes burned through me, and for a while, I never said anything, but eventually I told someone. My mum always said it was just a nightmare, and brushed it off for a week or two, while ignoring my relentless complaints. Eventually, after having to fight with me to go to sleep one night, my mum had dragged me outside the next morning to prove me wrong. We went outside to my window, and to her surprise, the grass had been stomped on only outside of my window, to the point that the grass was almost all dead and mud remained. There were also a ton of scratch marks from a tool of some kind outside the window, as if someone was trying to break in. I was in a basement with one of those small windows that don't open, so breaking in through there is super unlikely. But it still shook my family. My mum was horrified and had started making plans to move. But we were so broke growing up that leaving right away was not an option. Around that same time, me and my best friend, who was also my next door neighbour, had become inseparable. We hung out almost constantly and had no sense of danger, and would do dumb stuff like go to other neighbours' houses and ask for candy. Our favourite was this elderly lady who always had hostess cakes for us, and we would actually go inside her house to hang out there. She was unbelievably nice and took care of us in a way. Our parents had no idea we did this, but it was our little secret. One day, we were playing around the neighbourhood, and my mum yelled for me to come home so we could go pick up dinner just around the corner. We were only gone for 15 minutes at most, and when we came back to the house, we were in complete shock. The street was closed off with crime scene tape. There were 2 or 3 news station vans, a dozen police cars, and either a life flight helicopter getting ready to touch down, or a news helicopter. While we had gone to get food, a man who was not from the neighbourhood, but had been staying with his mum for the last few weeks, had walked past my best friend's yard and saw her on the phone. She was talking to a friend, and making faces or whatever young kids do, and this man thought she was making fun of him and talking about him on the phone. This man got so upset at the thought of someone making fun of him that he walked back to his mum's house and came back with a butcher knife and was planning on killing this girl for mistreating him. Because of where she was sitting on the porch, she could see him come back with a knife and ran inside the home and locked herself in the bathroom and called the police with the phone that she luckily already had in her hand. Unfortunately, my friend's mum was in the kitchen and was not as lucky. The man took his anger out on her mum and stabbed her so many times that I can't even remember the number. I pulled the Salt Lake Tribune article from 1998 titled "Man Booked in Stabbing," and it was 7 times. Somehow, after the amount of times her mother was stabbed, she survived and made a full recovery after many surgeries. After his arrest, the story was all over the news, and I remember watching it with my mum pretty religiously to make sure my friend's mum was all right. They posted his mugshot, and I remember the most intense amount of fear flowing through me. The man who stabbed this woman was also the man who would watch me outside my window. I later found out that we had met this man weeks earlier at the elderly lady's house we frequented for candy. It was her son, and he had initially met us at her house and had been keeping an eye on us ever since. He had only gotten out of prison a month or so earlier and was staying with her since his release. I never took note of him when we first met, but maybe if I did, I would have known right away who my night stalker was and could have prevented all that happened after. We never did end up moving. My mum figured the danger was gone, so we stayed another year. To this day, I never sleep with the blinds open. To the creep who would watch me sleep and try to murder my friend and her mother, I hope we never meet and you're rotting in jail somewhere. Hello everyone, SinisterShaf here. I hope you enjoyed day 14 of ShafTober. Today's story was My Childhood Stalker Tried to Murder My Best Friend by Cheese Diva 666. Thank you for letting me narrate your story. If you enjoyed this video, then please remember to like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Also, share this video with your friends. You can now also follow me on Facebook and Twitter at SinisterShaf. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay sinister.